Over the past weeks, I have beaten many unbeaten author times in Trackmania. Some of them have been hard enough to have their own dedicated videos, but there's also been a lot that have just been difficult but not quite enough for a single video. And so, I'm showing them all here. Let's get into it. Probably the proudest run I have out of the ones I'm going to show you is this one. It's on Winter 2025, Map 20, Checkpointless. And yes, there are a lot of these alternate Adeos. It's easy to think they're all the same. But this one is a really difficult track. Like, this track was built almost 2 years ago and has not been finished by anyone but the mapper. And that is because the mapper just goes out of the track, so he's gotten onto the platforms outside the stadium now. He gets up to 950 speed is around the sweet spot for dragon yeets, as it were. And now he's gonna go up the ramp to the left here, set up for a bug slide, and then fling back into the stadium with all the speed, bouncing on the glass and landing towards the finish area. Really difficult map. There's not that much space you can land on, and you still need to get this really rare yeet that he got. And bravely, he just goes directly here. I probably would have gone with more speed, so what makes this challenging is that even if you get the dragon yeet, you can see how quickly he actually landed and went for the finish. Like, the author time here seemed really difficult. I, however, had no idea that the author time was driven with dragon yeet, so I was just looking at this map thinking, how would I go from the start to the finish in the best way possible, the easiest and best way? And I quickly realized, like, you can get to here, which is a couple of platforms before the finish, but this gap between here, where there used to be a checkpoint, is the big problem. If you can clear this gap, then you can beat the map, because here, you would just do a wall bounce, and you're right where the dragon yeet happened. And so, with that context, guys, I came up with this run. So in the start, when I get to the red plastic, I wall hit against the lights, and land up on the sand here. Then I can conveniently drive between the trees and reconnect with the road just on the corner. Here I build up speed towards the red plastic again, and for the gap, I found an absolute cinema corner hit into road edge bounce. What? How does that even work? Well, I don't know, but I tried it a bit in editor and I was like, oh, this actually works. Okay, let's hit it on the map. And then I can do my wall bounce, and instead of dragon yeeting for 2 minutes, I beat the map in under 50 seconds with a 49.751. That was a really sick author time to get.
Oh, that's so sick. Yo, insane, man.
Alright, I want to show this map too. It's called The Climb by Uprush. Not a lot of players, not that difficult, but I just thought the map was unique. Like, it's fun when you find some things that are actually fun to play in the Unbeaten author time project. And here, you can see we're starting at the bottom of an inverse pyramid, and we have to climb up, and there's this last jump here, which I really found quite interesting to find the best line for. And I managed to beat it by a few hundredths. Still a lot to do on that track, but it was very fun to play in. As you can see, I'm immediately looking for where to go next. Just, yeah, Unbeaten author grind never stops, never stops. The next map here is Mud Campaign number 11 by Calyx, played by 110 players, so not the easiest map. And this is a driving style you might not be familiar with at all, but it is water and dirt mixed together. So when you drive this, the best driving practice is to turn the car sideways, and then when you can, add brake taps to make the car speed up. So just rapid brake taps. And then you want to get sharp lines. There's an actual bug slide here with the wet tires before it resets on the sand. Keep an inside line with second gear instead of third. And then into another mud slide, brake tap, brake tap, brake tap. Sharp bug slide here. No slide on the plastic with wet tires. Keep a bunch of speed because the ending is really difficult. I missed this finish so many times, the one floating. But here I get it with a 39.3, a 0.6 margin, more than I expected to beat it with, and really difficult track to get, so that one I was quite happy with. Alright guys, so the next map is Quit the Game if you manage to miss the finish. This is a track that I actually played in Lars's bingo after my own stream ended, and I thought it looked interesting. It had 0 players, and it had these rather simple looking transitions on ice. So I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. I figured out quickly how to do the start, and then after that you had a transition to a red booster. The boosters kind of gave you random speed values if you didn't cross them correctly. We had one checkpoint as well. The mapper wasn't too mean with that. He did give us a checkpoint. But his auto time is a one-shot run, so you have to get that right. Then you go down into this bowl, you're aiming for the road, which you couldn't really see. And you see the finishes in the sky, right? So if you miss these finishes, he tells you to quit the game. Let me tell you, that finish is not that easy, because what you have to do when you climb up this hill is line up in the middle of the boosters, try not to get a wheel clip, and then fly into any one of them. Of course, I just so happened to miss one. And I happened to miss one repeatedly, almost as if the map was designed for you to keep missing the finish. Just saying, it's a little strange to build a map like this, where you drive for 50 seconds and then you just routinely can get scammed at the very ending. Feels like a little bit mean to do, you know? So this took a lot of runs. I played it for about an hour, and finally I got this run on the track. So I got to the left in the start, I slide to go up the hill, and then I realized that if you just start a very late ice slide, you actually get more speed here, because you're so slow anyway. And then you can go directly up to the next part here, trying to go, making sure that the car has full grip on the ice while it's touching the booster. If there's any airtime, you get less sped up. And then I'm now routine on this jump. I make them directly first try, no stopping or waiting. And I set up straight for the booster. And here I also realized it's better to slow down quite a lot at the jump, so that you just go up the hill directly without any problems. And then aim for the finish, hope for the best. And finally, after an hour, it actually lines up with one, and I managed to get it. Cool. The next track I got was in a bingo with Carl Jr. and Scrappy. They were talking on stream and I was just playing off stream. And I was playing Short Lull number 2 by Salad Fingers. This map was unfinished at the start of the bingo. Then the player Joyboy finished with a 1.5 second slower time than the author time. And this is a really difficult map. This is a khaki light, a sort of easier khaki track. You slam the wall and get a backflip, then build a bunch of speed onto the red boosters, and I have to turn around in a way where the car is stalling on the boosters, bouncing into the wall and flying into the finish. Finally, I did something. I'm useful.
It gets worse.
What in the cucky did you just play?
This next one is really interesting. This track is called Snakebite DTX, played by 26 players, and you're driving inside a tube. You're just stuck in a tube, it's 3 laps, and the goal is to make sure that you get smooth transitions up and down the tubes and on the walls. The less the car slides at low speed, the better. And just the more grip you have when you touch boosters, the better. So the lap transition here, very important to build a lot of speed. You can see I'm overtaking my ghost. And then up the hill, it's a bit strange, but I'm keeping my lead. I lose a little bit of time in the downhill, but there's a jump now into the finish, which I beat my PB on and get another auto time. The funny thing about this map is that this later became track of the day. If I was available that day on the Troll Cup of the day, this would have been a really good chance for me to win, because I had pre-practice, pre-knowledge of the track. But at the time I played it was just a random map in bingo, Unbeaten. Later in that same bingo, I also started playing a track called Pain 42. This track looks awfully simple. It has only a couple of blocks placed, but when you drive it, you quickly realize that it's not as simple as it looks, because how on earth do you make progress? As it turns out, the solution to this track took me ages to find out, and it uses a interaction I've never seen before, which is acceleration boosting up a checkpoint. So at very low speeds, the stadium car, if it gets stuck in a position and you keep accelerating, the game will be like, he's stuck in a corner, let's give him an additional boost to get him out of there. And if you do that against the blue arch over the checkpoint, you can actually get this boost in a way that lets you climb up the entire checkpoint, which feels like pure magic when it happens. And then after that, you get the second checkpoint. You have to turn around and then collect the first one that you've driven over, and then you have to make your way to the finish. Still quite hard to get into the finish itself, so it is not an easy track even after doing that boost. But in my first couple of runs, I failed the ending, then I decided to practice it properly, and I came back to deliver this run right here. Okay. Yes, okay, I got there. Thank God this took so long, guys, but I beat another one after Carl Jr. and Scrappy hopped off. Pain 42. Was it worth the time I put into it? Absolutely not, but it's another author time. As you can see, guys, looking pretty tired here, but I'm playing these tracks late into the night and doing my part for the team. One less track to drive. I hope there's no more left in the Pain series, because that was a hard one. Alright guys, this next one, Neverest Race, took me a very long time. Don't get deceived by the fact that this is only played by 8 players. This one was very difficult. This is an old Royal track where the mapper Bowpro has severely hunted the author time, requiring you to get a perfect run to beat him. So, starts out with plastic climbs, and here, best practice is to bug slide exactly when you get grip, only for a short moment. Also in these uphills, you're doing burnout drifts, very sharp, and then accelerating the plastic, burnout drift, and then on these transitions, tiny bug slide tap to just, it kind of looks like you're gluing the car to the road, but yeah, this is the fastest way. But now on the red layer, it gets very awkward because look at how sharp these turns are. This one's awkward, and then you have another one here over the ledge and like full turn very far, and then you jump across a layer here. And the top of this one, I remember also, back in Royal, being really difficult. You turn around, get speed here, and go up to the checkpoint. And then an awkward drop down to the black layer. This one can bug landing a lot of the time and have you land upside down. The black layer, also full chaos. I clip the wheel, I think it's not going to make it. I send it, it still does, and the landing looked scuffed, not too bad. Still got a very quick turnaround here. Drift. Hold brake on the landing, hope for the best. Small drift tap, jump up into the stairs. Another burnout drift, another tiny one. Time's ticking, and I get to the finish just half a second before the author time. Very difficult run to get. You know, it's maybe not visually apparent how weird and difficult this is to drive, but I'm very proud of this run myself. Another map I'm going to show you guys here is Winter 2026. 07, but the checkpoints are rotated. What a ingenious design for an alt campaign this is. Truly riveting gameplay, I tell you. This one, not finished by anybody, and for good reason. It's a very hard map, a very tedious track, but I managed to do it. I spent some time here theory crafting what the best way would be, and I came up with this. We get the wheels onto the road border and then climb to the first one. That's fine. And now we go on a little detour up the grass. And the reason is that you can rejoin the track after the checkpoint over here by clipping this tiny block of concrete, getting the wheel onto the border, and then climbing onto the road. Fantastic. Now, just real quick, if you look at the road coming up, there is a problem. And the problem is that if you take the checkpoint, how do you continue? From the checkpoint road itself, there is no way to get over the wall and continue on driving. And there's no way to get to the upper part of the track either without using this road. So you need to be smart about this. You could use the checkpoint arch climb that I did on Pain 42, but that is very tedious to set up here because the checkpoint is far away and you don't get many attempts at it. So I came up with something better, but also tedious in its own way. So on this road, I am now gathering speed and trying to get a perfect drift. If I fail it, I go back, make sure I have speed so that I can neo slide here to try to get a perfect turnaround. And I'm committing at this point, I'm going, and great, I get the checkpoint, but I don't want to take it. I don't want to take it, so I respawn to the previous one and keep driving from here instead. The reason I don't want to take it is because I have a plan. The plan is the following. I need to not only get the checkpoint, but to get the checkpoint while being upside down. So I'm looking for a jump where I go through while crashing the checkpoint in a way that I land upside down. Because when I'm turtle, I can again get the wheels onto the road border. That was the entire point. Very tricky jump to get to crash in that way, but when you have this, the rest of the map becomes unlocked. So after a while of trying, I realized the best way to continue is to get the wheels on the border here, and then precariously balance my way over wall here onto the grass, and then to the checkpoint, and from here we can go at 2x speed. It's rather trivial. Just up the hill, get this checkpoint, turn around inside the checkpoint, drop down, get the last checkpoint that is rotated, turn around here, drive into the grass, and now you're on the finish road with an unbeaten author time claimed. I really cannot believe nobody got to this map before me and had the joys of trying to hit this jump in a run, but I got here first and got to do it, so I am very happy about that. Very happy about doing my part for the team. This next track is called Hole Physics Are Perfectly Fine 4, and it looks simple, but let me tell you, this track is really difficult. It was, at the time I played it, the 5th oldest unbeaten author time. It was built and published in 2023, and up until a few weeks ago, it was never finished by anybody. The mapper himself said it took him 8 hours to complete. And what you have to do is very carefully lean the car off the edge of the hole and get a weird bounce that sends you up and backwards. Thankfully for me, there were 2 brave players who had led the way before me and played this when there were no finishers, so lots of credit to them for leading the way and giving me some reference skills to play against. By analyzing their runs, I understood that it had to do with where on the hole you crash. There's this seam that if you clip the wheel into, is likely the reason why the car bounces so high. So I was just trying to aim my car towards that spot, and I got many good attempts, but they were so few and far between. Like, yes, there were some great bounces, but for the most part, it was just press forward, nothing happens. Press forward, nothing happens. And I think that's part of the reason why nobody had gotten this yet. It's because it was just so mind-numbing to play. So imagine the mapper doing this for 8 hours. Just pure insanity. But thankfully, it didn't take me more than 2 hours until I got this run. Yes, 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 yes. Oh my god, that's a sick one to get. That is actually a sick one to get. This was such an old map. And I was hoping to get a bounce with a counter steer to land backwards because the previous record's all turtle on the platform. And I thought if I counter steer, well, I can use their setup hitting the ledge here, but then counter steer to just reverse into the fin and it works. Alright guys, this next one, it's called Puzzle 02. I had to free camera a bit in the beginning to understand what was going on. There are 2 checkpoints and it's a lot of ice, kind of like an ice trial map. And what you have to do is you have to flip out of a quarter pipe, land on top to get a checkpoint, and then afterwards do a high-speed ice slide to make the drop down, then carry the 3rd gear that you get on the landing into another jump where you flip up to the 2nd checkpoint, and from the 2nd checkpoint you go through checkpoint 1 again. There's nowhere really else to go. Try to carry a lot of speed into the drop down so that you again get 3rd gear, and from there can jump towards the finish. Author time 138. Like I said, not necessarily the hardest author time, but a nice one to get. Didn't take that long, took about 10 minutes of effort, so very cool. The next map here is Echo Wraith. This one played by 74 players, and you're joining in with my personal best being within a 10th of the author time. This is a mixed track that was rather hunted, and it has some quite strange drifts. Took me a while to get here, I'd say maybe 30 minutes. You had to drift a lot more than looks necessary in the first corners to get good setups. 4th gear before the dirt downhill was important, then snap into the turn, carry that Neo slide here actually, and again drift more than looks necessary because the next turn is important to carry high speed in. Here as well, very sharp corner, into a sharp left, into a sharp right. It's just, yeah, sharper turns than you might be used to. And then you wanna carry speed through this last corner here, because the finish is now full speed all the way to the right, and with a good ramp cut I beat it by a 10th, so that one was a nice one to get. Alright, next map is actually on the same grid. It's called Existence 1, played by over 100 players, and the world records were just a few hundredths away from the author time, so I hope they're not coming for me here. So I just tried to copy what I saw them do and do it a little bit faster. This is a map with wet tires, and that really affects your lines. Like, with wet tires, sliding is to be avoided, honestly, because it's so slow. So you can see I get a small slide on the downhill, then snap out of it because full grip is better. Here, wet tires have finally disappeared, so we can drift as normal up and down this hill. Try to keep very good speed into this drop down, land wide so I can keep speed through the corner as well. And then we get icy tires, which now makes it likely to slide out, but if you keep speed into the last corner and drop down, that is all that was necessary for the author time. So pretty efficient here, getting these two maps back to back. Later that same day, I played one more map called Fun Mapping 203. You boot up and you see a no brakes and a no steer mixed together in the start. There are no checkpoints and the finishes are right there. But as it turns out, there's no good way to reach them. And actually, if you use the unclaimed checkpoint plugin, you will see that there is a finish hidden mixed far below the track. And that is the real finish that you have to get. So the track starts out with an upside down bounce into turtle, turtle down into the quarter pipe, carry speed, and then you're trying to bounce on a road border, landing with full speed on the other side and going up the quarter pipe. In my first proper attempt at it, I did not really land with speed, so I had to do a loop around. And then you can see that red dot underneath the map is where we're going. Without this plugin, I think it would take forever to find out how to beat the track, but you drop down in the gap, try to stay as close to the wall as possible, and boom, get a finish. Now that was good, but not good enough. So here, same start, trying to air brake very early on to bounce high. This one looks awkward, but it is enough to make it across. And then I try to get a nosedive onto the diagonal platform. I get that, that builds a lot of speed. Straight into the gap, stay close, and I beat the author by 0.3 with a nice 28.69. Forgive me for what I'm about to show you next. This is mapping crimes of the highest degree. We have no grip, bumper, reactor, upside down driving with a reactor flight in the ending. Here, it essentially functions like ice with reactors. You have to build quite a lot of speed to bump across to the next reactor. Then you're in this tunnel where it's hard to control the car, and then you bump and you have to fly past all the obstacles into the finish. I got the world record with a 17.7, author time 17:51, so I had to keep trying a little bit. And then later, I got this run. So 0.1 ahead in the start, little bit worse ice slide upside down thing, but in the ending I had very clean wall hugs. I'm 92 speed ahead, and just a straight line to the finish does the trick. Yeah, not my favorite map at all, but it's in there. It's one I've beaten. Add it to the set. So yeah guys, those are some unbeaten author times I've gotten. The community is now down to just 900 maps or so left, and it's going down every single day. Curious how far we're going to be able to get before we hit a full stop, but time will tell. I'm going to post more unbeaten author time videos for you guys, and we'll see how far we can get. Subscribe for more. See you guys in the next one. Bye bye friends. Bye bye.